Hi, this is a new edition of the Innovation Conversation. I'm Kevin Coop.
And I'm Tom Furphy.
And we are coming to you via Skype. We're doing this conversation once again via Skype. I'm in Connecticut, and Tom, you are in Consumer Equity Partners Global Headquarters.
Yeah, global and local here in Seattle.
One of the things we wanted to talk about a little bit this morning was a survey that was done by a company called Convey. It's a logistics technology firm. And they did a survey of Amazon users. And basically, I think you and I were both sort of staggered by the percentages in terms of how people were responding, not just positively to Amazon, but some of the negative things they had to say about Amazon were extraordinary. And they still continue to use it, which is just amazing. I mean, one was that, let's see, 1 in 4 Americans, 24%, have negative feelings about Amazon's impact on the retail business, but 1/5 of those shoppers who have the negative feelings still say they buy 50% of their items on Amazon. Which is amazing.
50%.
50%, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. 27% of respondents say that they feel very or somewhat negative about Amazon's impact on the environment. Yet 25% of that 27% say they buy 50% of their items on Amazon. And 47% of respondents said they do at least a quarter of their shopping on Amazon. And more than 1 in 5, 23%, they say they buy more than half their goods on the site. And there's this weird disconnect there that people are saying, nah, it's not good for retail and it's not good for the environment, but keep sending and make sure I get 1-day delivery. What does that tell us about, other than the hypocrisy of the American consumer?
Well, I think it tells you that Amazon has built a great experience, right? You know, you can go to Amazon, you can find the products you want, you're going to get a good price, it's going to be delivered on time, you know, and for free. And I think Americans love that. I mean, I know even in my personal experience, you know, when I bend down on the doorstep and pick up that box, and I open that box and I take my goods out and I break down that box and I put it in the recycle bin, you don't feel great about the environmental impact. I don't know that I'm necessarily thinking about local retailers at that point. I'm just happy that I got my stuff. But I think if asked, do you feel it's a negative impact on the environment? Does that bother you? I think it stands to reason that most people would say yes. But I also think it's something that Amazon is working very hard to rectify. And in fact, at FMI Midwinter a couple of weeks ago, the woman that was presenting was talking about the mix in packages and how many more packages are going with multiple items in them now. And they're also moving away from boxes to envelopes that have a much less environmental impact than boxes do.
Well, and they're also, and I suppose this is perception as well as reality, they just made some enormous buy when it comes to electric vans, right? So they're clearly trying to have an impact that way.
Oh, absolutely. And if you look at the number of packages, the number of miles, the number of routes that are out there that they're driving, that'll have a substantial impact on the environment over time, reducing those carbon emissions for sure.
So I guess what I wonder is, to what degree can retailers that are competing against Amazon use these numbers and innovate against them, understanding that a considerable percentage of people, even if their behavior doesn't reflect it, are concerned about their impact on retail, concerned about their impact on the environment? Are there ways in which a traditional retailer can say, can market against that?
Oh, I think absolutely. I mean, a traditional retailer is going to compete really on 2 big fronts, right? One is leveraging their stores for services and experience and, all of the benefits that drives to shoppers that Amazon doesn't have an abundance of yet. We know that they're building toward that, right? But clearly, retailers should double and triple down on their store experience. And then that will give shoppers less reason to go to Amazon. And then I think when it comes to, being able to, enable e-commerce purchases, allowing, for really good pickup experience, or allowing for free local delivery, yes, if it's over an order threshold, that probably makes economic sense, or maybe a minor, charge for the delivery. But customers love free delivery, and that came through loud and clear in that survey. I think if you can offer a good delivery experience economically, couple that with a really good store experience, you're in a pretty good spot, to be able to serve your customer and be able to fend off, Amazon taking too much away from you.
The interesting thing is you were telling me about one of the major concerns that retailers that you were talking to at FMI Midwinter, one of their big concerns was the cost of labor. Clearly, labor costs are going up because, wages are going up because the unemployment rate is so low. But it seems to me that that's one of those things that retailers may be concerned about the cost of labor, but I think they have to look at that as being an investment, because part of having a better store experience and part of being able to compete better with Amazon is having better people. You only get better people by paying them more and giving them better benefits. If you're sitting there looking at traditional labor factors and looking at traditional ways of driving down your labor costs and maybe even compensating people based on how low they can drive the labor costs, as opposed to celebrating your labor and making them their differential advantage, you're missing the boat. You're trying to do one thing, but you're handcuffing yourself, and you can't possibly make that work.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it really comes down to how you deploy your labor, right? I think there's lots of ways that retailers can and should save labor, right? You want to make your supply chain more efficient. You want to be able to, bring goods into the back room and bring them out to the floor and do things around the store that's more efficient. But you don't want to shortchange, the value add to customers. You don't want to shortchange how and where at that point of engagement you're deploying labor. You actually want customers to feel like there's more labor available to help them. So, I think it really, it does behoove the retailer, when we're moving from a $9 or $10 an hour, world to a $15 an hour world. That's a big increase. I think the thought that goes into how you deploy that is really important. And, that's when it comes down to things like, if you're going to do e-commerce, things like how do you pick and pack? Do you go to a micro fulfillment capability? Do you use auto replenishment, which enables you to, leverage your, troves of loyalty data to better refine how the inventory gets through your store and to customers, right? There's a lot of capabilities today that as a retailer you can employ to reshape that labor that can get you a much better return on that investment in your labor.
Well, and it seems to me, I think almost everybody makes this mistake. When they think about innovation, they think about supply chain, they think about technology, they think about all that, the bells and whistles. But it also includes innovating with your people and innovating in how you attract people, innovating in how you maybe reward people, innovating in terms of how you try and maintain your workforce and lowering turnover. It seems to me there's a lot of room in there for innovation that probably a lot of retailers are not taking advantage of to the degree they should.
Absolutely. And I think if you're a true customer-centric retailer, and I know I keep hammering on this, but if you are, and you really think about, all right, how am I going to best serve my customer with the resources that I can make available to them? As you rationalize that experience, I think the ways to use technology to do that become more and more clear.
Anyway, well, that's it for this edition of the Innovation Conversation. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new one. I'm Kevin Coop.
And I'm Tom Furphy. And by the way, Kevin, congrats on the new morning news feed. It looks awesome.
Thanks a lot. Well, I have to say, it has built my admiration for people who do websites and build much bigger businesses than Morning Newsbeat, because we've had more than our share of glitches, and I can't even imagine dealing with it if it were any bigger than this. But thank you very much. It's fun. I think it's only going to get better. So thanks for that, and thanks to the audience for all their patience. And we'll see you next time, everybody.